So one of the GolfWorks forum members asked to see a driver swing and what I felt the differences were with my particular driver swing and my iron swing. So I took these probably, well, the one in the purple shirt driver was maybe a month ago, not even. So here's the driver swing. Let's look at that a little closer. You know, in the driver, longest club in the bag, and get the funkiest, no doubt about it. I wish I could tell you I drove it well all the time. I don't. I get a little stuck inside and hit some hooks. Very few blocks. Usually, if anything, I can hook it. And, my driver feeling is my irons are pretty good. My irons pretty much at the pin most of the time. Don't miss too many greens. Wish if I missed more, I'd probably be a better chipper. But here's the driver swing. Club head speed is anywhere from, just around 110. And if I really try to, not one, I can get a little higher than that. But there's the driver swing. It's not really in a super slow-mo. I may have one here. Let me take a look. This may be super slow-mo. Let's see. It's super slow-mo. So to nitpick some stuff here, I'm a big believer in letting the head release. I don't want the head to release at all, to stay down very long, because I think a lot of people they keep their head down too long, especially as we get older. A lot of the stuff I like to see is just this general shape of the club and left arm and how that energy expands and releases itself, eventually into a golf ball. That's part of the motion, which is really important to me. Iron swing, so let's talk about the differences. A driver swing, I feel as though, let's talk about the iron first off. Here I've got a 5-iron. And this was earlier in the summer, as you can tell by my white legs. And the divots, so I'm the tour striker guy, right? And I really want people to hit down. Well, I don't. But what I do want is you to have some forward lean, because if you look a little closely here, there's some shaft lean, and yet the divot patch that is to the left of the golf ball is not very deep. Those are just, those are bacon strips as opposed to pork chops. So there's some forward shaft lean, reasonable impact alignments. If I remember correctly, I was sitting pretty good that day. And, big key for me is just to, finish in balance and try to match up the image of the target that I have when I'm standing over the ball, which right now in my coconut right here, I've got the picture in my head of the flag and what I'm looking at down over at the target, so I'm trying to match up the picture of the flag in my head to the real one that I'm about to hit my golf ball at. So even though I'm kind of staring down on whitey, the ball's really not a big focal thing for me. It's just kind of white on green, kind of goes away. I'm trying to match up the visuals and get to my target. Easy to say that when you have good alignments, by the way. You actually have to train that in to get as visual and target bound as that. So it's chicken or the egg theory. But anyway, back to the original question: what do I do differently with the irons and the driver? Well, I can tell you with the irons, I definitely have more of a sense of downward in the strike, even though I take pretty, shallow divots. The sensation of a lot more pressure in my hands on the shaft with forward lean, thus Tour Striker-esque, and yet in the driver I don't. I feel like I'm, very much more swingy, like I'm okay with this club, you know, getting away, what I mean by getting away is I'm okay losing that angle. I don't want to store, I don't want to hold, I actually want to get that thing going. You've probably heard Nicholas say he wants to get the club away from him, throw it away. Well, you can't throw it away, really. You can't flip it if you have the right intent. You can only flip it, like really, really flip it, if you're trying to elevate the ball and you're not really using the club head as a projectile. But yet, I'd say, this force through the ball is more on kind of this angle. Very levelish, whereas the feeling with my irons is definitely more downward. And I'd say it probably goes from a sand wedge, this orientation of downward, and then kind of creeps up through the set. And then finally with the driver, it's more feeling levelish, even though I think my strike now is pretty level. I don't have a whole lot of success hitting up on it, but for the poster, almost harmless, whatever his name was, that's my different feels. One feels more sweepy, like the club head like I can throw it away, cast it a little bit, versus the irons definitely feel more trappy. Yet the trappy bit feels most trappy with the wedge and kind of works its way up to where I feel like I'm just kind of freewheeling it with the 3-wood and the driver, etc. Because if I feel that too much force across the back of that shaft, too much pressure in my right index finger, I tend to have too much shaft lean, too much into out, and that's when I can hit some crazy hooks. But anyway, that's just my personal issues, and sure.